Hey guys, Dib the Awesome here to give you yet an exciting Monster Legends guide. We're talking about monsters, moves, rune sets, partners, all that jazz. Today's a little different because this isn't actually, his trait's not posted yet, but like, this is leaked information right now, what you're looking at here. And it's looking pretty spicy. Now, I think this is the upcoming breeding event. Like, it is I like to call them, I'm going to dub these past breeding events, not as in past, like, past. I mean, like, past as in, the past is in the Monster Legends past. So basically, if you're a good Goomba, if you do your missions and you get at least the passive eggs from my understanding, like the free to play eggs, you get access to this breeding event. Very good. Thank you for asking. I'm doing excelente, my boy. This monster is available to you. Now, if you don't actually consistently get the last, past monsters or whatever, for this one specifically, you need Dr. Watts and Taney. Both were free to play passes, and I do believe Taney was the second pass monster, and was Watts third? Yeah, he was. So basically, as long as you do the last two passes, like you get your, your points done, all that stuff, you have access to this event. Uh, and this is a pretty big one because it's our first mythic Megataunt monster. Now, if you guys don't know what Megataunt does, if you're new, Megataunt draws in everything, unless you either A, clear it, unless it's a buff like thing, right? Now, I don't know if this is going to be a permanent trait. I don't think so. I think it's just going to be the buff. And at the same time, I don't know how I feel about that because usually when the game starts, people, like in terms of battles, right? People usually go for remove positive effects. So I don't know. But being the fact this is a mythic and mythics do more damage than legends, you might see some interesting results because we're just so used to seeing, Mega Taunters possess or DOT, right? Well, this one can just probably outright kill you. I don't know. I'm interested in seeing this, but for right now, all you need to know, it will have Megataunt, and I'm assuming it's going to have it at the beginning of the game. Why else, right? Is like, what could possibly mean? Yeah. But I don't know if it will replace Santerion because it's not like a trait. Like, it's not permanently there. But I can see it walling more things. Like the best thing about dude, I'm gonna call him Daedalus. Like every time I look at him, it looks like the thing from Yu-Gi-Oh! No. Oaeoalus, I'm sorry. I guess the benefit for running Oaeoalus as your Megaton monster, especially if you have it ranked up, is it takes damage. Like it's got a lot, like a bigger health pool, right? So it's just gonna be able to stomach more things, which would be good against all these mythic damage dealers, right? We just don't want to deal with like insta kills like from that we're so used to seeing. But whenever you get hit by a mythic damage dealer and your Santerion dies or your Isil dies, you don't see that too much if you run this thing. I probably guarantee you. So first off the bat, it's called Dragon Stab. Moderate earth damage to one enemy. Applies daze. This can be helpful in longevity in terms of just making your enemies miss. Mud Hand deals low earth damage to all enemies. It's just a vanilla damage skill. I'm pretty sure this is just one of the beginning skills it has. If it's 30 and spammable, it's alright actually. Uh, spammable 30 damage coming from a mythic is pretty annoying to legends at some point. Especially if it's just there. I don't think it's a must-have skill. I'm just saying it would be nice if it's a spammable and it has no stamina cost. Dude, those skills are so good, dude. If there is a monster with no stamina cost, no cooldown skill on a mythic monster, you run that. It's so good. I'm doing pretty great. Under the stronghold, applies life regen to everyone on the team. Hello, hello, Daniel. My name is Daniel. It's like it's funny. But anyway, it applies life regen to everyone on your team. This doesn't remove negative effects. If this did, it would be better. But I'm guessing that's why they didn't do that because it's not as broken. The problem is though, this doesn't work if you're nanovirus. So as long as you don't have nanovirus, this is good on you specifically. If you don't have nanovirus on you specifically, giving life regen to everyone's amazing. Even back in the old days, like just like damaging while also doing life regen, like with Plymouth, that was always good. That was always nice. I love that. I love things that give life regen. This guy gives everyone life regen. It makes everyone tankier. I like to think this is a really nice support skill for mythics. I think if you are running mythics only, run the skill. Why not? It keeps everyone alive. And mythics are already tanky to begin with. Why not give them longevity? Grumpix or Sunblast? I like Grumpix a lot because it has Mechanical Hater. I think Grumpix is really good. But they're two different monsters from different categories. He might be the monster I use Amber on. Yeah, wait to see the traits and then decide whether or not you use it. Or I'd say wait. I'd say wait for the end of the month because if there's something good even after Oaeoalus, you might want to invest in it. Reconstruction removes all negative status effects from itself, applies life regen and double healing to itself. You run this skill. I don't care if you're going damage. I don't care if you're going support. Yo, run Reconstruction, my boys and gals. This skill is so good. Dude, you clean yourself, so no more nanovirus, no more like annoying DOTs. You give yourself life regen, and then you give yourself double healing. So basically, this is a 40% heal. On him specifically, it's a 40% heal for 2 turns. That's 80% of your life. That's going to be crazy. Now, depending on the cooldown for Reconstruction, yeah, you might never use it again. It might be a 4-turn cooldown. That sounds really great. That sounds amazing. I'm assuming it's going to be a 4-turn cooldown. There's no way it's not. It's either a 4 or 3-turn. There's no way it's a 2-turn cooldown. They wouldn't do that. That's too nice. That would be way too nice. So this is going to be a 3 or 4-turn cooldown, more than likely. Run the skill. It's such a great skill. 40% your life and everything else too. Like that doesn't just include the life regen. If you have double healing, it applies to everything, including relics. If you are healed, you get double that healing. That's really great. You especially evaluate more when you play around with it with other monsters like Soul Hugger or like there's other ones too. Dr. Morielson when it's reverse healing teams, right? Double healing's really nice. It gives everyone just alive forever. If it's not a one shot and you have double recovery, like I think Fatted too is a good example. If you don't kill Fatted right away, he has the double healing. It is pretty dumb. You do get a lot of sustain out of it, and if it's not OHKOing damage, you never care about anything ever again. It's beautiful. Invader Pitfall deals heavy earth damage to one enemy, applies quicksand and daze to one enemy. I am guessing this is your Bursty Burst skill. Being the fact it is a DOT and a single target, it would be a good idea to run against area dodge monsters. I think this is kind of like those situations where he is by himself, so you might want to run it. Crafted from sand, deals moderate special damage to all enemies, heals itself by 30%. Now this is where things get spicy. Now if you ever used Gorin, you know that when Gorin uses his area skill, each person he hits, he actually applies 30% healing. Like each person he hits is 30, 30, 30. I don't know if they've ever changed that, but that's how the healing works. And if it works on this, if that's the same logic that works with this skill, you run this skill. This skill is so good. If it heals by 30 for each person you hit. I don't know if they'll be that generous for this monster, but when they've released Gorin, that's how, I mean, like, Gorin to this day probably still works like that, is each person you hit, it's 30 plus. Like, you get 30 HP, you get 30, 30, 30. That's 90% of your HP. That's a great healing. That's like our insta full life reset. I'd say test it out. If it does look exactly like I say, run it. It's such a good skill. This would be actually one of the best recovery skills in the game then, because it really can't lose 1v3s then. If it consistently gets to move, like the healing's phenomenal. You get, unless it's like OHKO damage, right? They never really kill you, and this thing's already tanky, and you build them tanky, right? It's gonna be really annoying in Warrior and stuff like that. Fortified Tower applies taunt and positive effect protection to itself, requires a cooldown. So I'm actually curious about this because it actually, you see the next skill is also a mega taunt. What is its passives then? What's it going to have for passive? Like, does it start the game off with Megaton? I think that's going to be huge. If it doesn't start the game off with Megaton, what does it do then? What could its traits possibly be? I'm sorry if I did this guide kind of early too, by the way. I was really excited to talk about him because I really am excited for, Megatons to be nice again. Well, they don't die instantly. Megatons provide such huge support in the game. And, yeah. So this might still apply Mega Taunt immediately. It just has the option to do both Taunt and Megaton, which means I really do wonder what it even does passively then. What is the passive? Does it have like perma taunt, but you have the option to apply taunt? But anyway, applies taunt and positive effect protection to itself. This is really nice. You run this skill, especially on, just mainly like sponge sets. If you are just gonna sponge, uh, sometimes taunt in its own right is better than Mega Taunt because you don't take any of that excess damage. I would say if you are in a situation where you don't need the Megaton, if you are running two area dodge monsters, you don't have to run. You don't have to run the Megaton. You can just run the single taunt, and then it's protected. So it has to. You have to use Wormlad's cleanse in order to get past it. So that's pretty nice. Protect positive effects. That's self-explanatory. That protects your Megaton. Even if they try to remove it, they got to remove it twice. That's phenomenal. So that one has to be a must. What's my team? I'm currently on Legacy of Armor. It's a really awesome team. Really awesome people. Really awesome boys and gals, my boys and gals. Let's see here. Fortified Tower. It applies Megaton and blocks 50% of incoming damage. Run the skill too. Just to just sponge everything. And 50% damage, dude. 50% damage reduction's always been nice. Always, especially in this meta of monsters where everything's doing a lot of damage, right? So to have the damage is really good. Like it's so good. People didn't like back in the day, like total damage reduction and like half damage wasn't seen as like you didn't need it because things weren't dying like outright. Like natural damage wasn't killing you. Uh, anyway, if anything, it was more so effects and just like constant control or whatever have you, right? But nowadays, like 50% damage reduction, to do just anything that reduces damage, saves your monster's lives in war. Like, this is a huge team war skill. You want this thing to be out there as much as possible, and you just keeps your legends alive. It's really helpful. You shall not move is its special skill. It deals heavy earth damage to everyone and applies Mega Stun on everyone. Mega Stun lasts for 2 turns. And that's phenomenal. It is a really nice skill. This doesn't do anything against area dodge monsters. In fact, it's garbage against them. But everyone else is not really gonna like that at all, really. I think this is a great control ultimate. It's really nice. Mega Stun, being the fact that not many things in the game are immune to stun, or like the popular stuff, right? If anything, right now, in terms of mythics, they're only passively immune to stun. We have Gaidigo. Is it Gaidigo? Gaidigo. We got Gaidigo, we got Armor Claw. The only real person immune to stun, I do believe, or at least I care to remember, was, what's his name? Josh Dub. Yeah, we just got a monster called Josh Dub that's immune to stun. So beyond that, this is really great. I'm enjoying the conversation. Currently, they're playing the YouTube roleplay. Banana guy gets eaten by tiger guy. But yeah, let's talk about partners real quick. Really, I think healers, like just straight off the bat, if this thing can just stay alive forever and you can heal all the damage, that's great. I think he's busted with Blaz. Oh my god, this thing would be so good with Blaz. Run, don't panic, torture immunities, you can't be tortured. Basically, you can build God. Like if you run Blaz with this dude, that's so busted. Your cooldowns can't be activated, which is huge, dude. Whenever I use Megaton monsters, when the enemy uses like cooldowns activate, they don't really get to do anything anymore. So to have like, oh, Unspeakable is also immune to stun. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, Unspeakable. Yeah, Unspeakable is immune to stun too. So this doesn't work on Unspeakable either. That's actually a really bothersome counter pick for this thing too, if you think about it. But yeah, Blast, straight up the bat, you can skill mirror into Don't Panic. Yeah, odds are you could run this thing with I was gonna say 2 lives. Yeah, 2 lives. 2 lives and a damage. I don't know if you need the 3rd life, because damage is just a must nowadays. I think you want to run 8 damage because you are running that single target skill. But I think it's great with Blast because there's so many things you can do, and passively speaking, you get cooldowns immunity. That's amazing, and so you always have your utility up. Until they remove it. That's pretty strong. Did I miss much? You pretty much missed all the explanation of the skills and why they're good. But Blaz can give this thing so many different things, and being the fact he can apply positive effect protection to itself, That means you get to keep your Don't Panics, you get to keep your True Vision that you get for cooldowns deactivation if you do decide to do it on him, and that's lovely. It's just a really tanky monster. Other things you can pair with Oaeoalus is the Monster Hornet. I do believe if this thing gets taunt passively, yeah, yeah, if it's passively he gets taunt, that's really good. I think that's even better. Like if he gets like Esel's passive, especially, it's really good. Like if he gets like trait as like taunt as a trait and mega taunt as a buff, true you do lose mega taunt, right? I mean like it's removable and then you have to reapply it again, right? But passively taunt like that means you don't have to. You can choose whether or not you want to be like you want to take all the damage, right? That's the luxury of not having mega taunt as a trait. You're not obligated to take all the damage. That's such a big deal. Like to be able to switch on and off whether or not you want to take massive amounts of damage from mythics, especially, is a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, even although it's not something you can always rely on at that point. Then the reason why Santarion's always good is because you can revive them, give them evasion from with Miseris, and if they don't have a cleanse skill, it gets really annoying. Like if you are running mythic damage dealers and they don't cleanse, it's boring. Megaton without Elvira, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, other this is just an outside note. I also think he looks a lot like Dehaka from StarCraft. Let me know if you guys share that opinion too. But dude, look at this guy for just a minute. Pull up a picture of Dehaka, and boom, I can see the similarities. Dude, this looks exactly like Dehaka. That's all this thing is Dehaka. Watch that is actually like it's like Dehaka. It looks 100% like Dehaka. Uh, about this monster will have mountain as a trait. I feel like that would be too good for it. I feel like that's too good. I don't know if they'll really do that, but if they do, that's really nice. That's really busted. Mountain, huh? Man, that's not out of the question. Maybe they will. But right now, I just know that they'll have Megaton as a buff at the beginning of the game. I don't know if they'll have anything else, but if they have Taunt, kudos, that's really nice. That's really busted, actually. How do I feel about this monster in Team War? Now, I think this monster is going to be strong in Team War because now I don't ever have to worry about things dying. Or, like, in terms of my stuff, right? Or, like, if I used Oaeoalus, right? I don't have to worry about anything dying instantly. This means I feel like this is a great monster for squishy legendaries. Like, we're talking Lord Pumpseed. We're talking about, like, Ruby. Because we kept losing our Megaton. Like, whenever a war starts nowadays, like, if they're running a Carthor or a rank 3 Nightingale, you lose your Megaton, let's say. If you don't have any, like, opportunity to set up an extra defense against them, or, like, with phobic shields or whatever, you lose your Megaton tank. That's a guarantee. You just lose it. That's why I think things like Moose Haze's phobic shield is really nice in war. I don't think anyone even considered the idea that you can apply the, Moon's Haze's skill if they're not running a cleanse monster and you do this and then the mythic monster goes, they can't actually damage them if it's not that correct implement, right? So I think those things are really nice, but you don't have to do that with this monster if it is just a mythic monster. Rank them up. You'll have a lot of HP. Give them two lives. Don't give them 3 lives. Give them 2 lives and a strength because damage is really important nowadays because a lot of monsters are getting like a lot of mythic monsters are getting like torture immunities. So you need damage. You need to at least be able to remove things off the field at some point. Like DOTs at some point like unless you're running trait disable, you can't really utilize them because a lot of these monsters nowadays they just keep releasing mythics with torture immunity. They do 2 monsters in a row literally have torture immunity. We got Civ Fart, Civ Farty McFartikins. The High Priest of Fartikins. We got that boy, and then we got Glamourhead. Glamhead, yeah. Glamourhead. Glamhead, yeah. Who also has torture immunity. Even though their base life isn't high, they can't be DOT'd, and you can do things with that. So overall, I'm excited, but I'm also really concerned because that also means since this is a mythic monster, I'm assuming this thing doesn't die right away. I feel like this is just going to always be on the field, and this just runs better with Miseris. Dude, run Miseris with this thing. It's so busted. Marks is also immune to torture. This is what I saved almost 3,000 Ember for. Monster Gaming was ready for this day. He's like, yes, we're gonna get a Vegeta monster. This probably won't be a bad idea to rank up. Yeah, I'm kind of yeah. I'm probably gonna rank him up too. I kind of wanted to use my Ember for the rank 4 monster so I can do the rank 4 dungeon. Just to be able to get access to that, but I might get this right away. I think this thing is needed to be at free right away. It's such a great utility tank. But yeah, if you rune sets real quick, either full life or at least 8 damage and 2 lives. I don't think you ever need to run speed on this, ever. I don't think you have to. Yeah, unless you want to utilize utility. Keep in mind, mythics do have like the tendency to be faster than legendaries. So if you are dealing with like a legendary war, right? I mean, like majority of their team is legendaries. You bring this thing, they can't do anything about you because you go really fast. You have a lot of utility. Uh, but I think this thing was meant to run 2 life, at least 2 lives. You have to be tanky. You have to be a rack. Maybe a life and 2 speed. There's quite a few ways you can go about it, but I think 2 lives and a damage is great. You need to be able to remove things. You don't want it just to be like not being able to remove things too. It's not its job, but yeah, we're gonna get more things like Glamhead. We're gonna get more things like Sivart over there that just are immune to torture, and that's gonna be a thing. I feel like just gonna keep doing it to the point where everyone's running full teams with torture immunity, and it's fantastic. It's beautiful. No one's really dying right away. Basically, everyone's gonna have like that's pretty much the equivalent to having artifact, but like you get goodies and stuff. It's gonna be gross. That meta's gonna be gross. I feel like that will be a meta someday. It's just like teams of full torture immunities and nothing dies, and it's just solid damage at that point. It's pretty gross. That means we'll see a lot more of the extra turners probably. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Overall, again, I think he'll save a lot of legends in war, but I think he's also entitled to be a pain in war because that means if he's going to be really, 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 really tanky, that means he'll never leave. He'll never leave, and he'll probably have like a Wormlad support. It's gonna be so bothersome if it's like a taunt as a permanent trait. That's so busted. He won't ever leave. Dude, you have to utilize Pierce at this point, then, just to get past them. That's so annoying. I love the design overall. It's not. I don't get. We don't see the full picture, but it looks like Dahaka, and I love that. I love StarCraft. I love using Dahaka. I just started using Dahaka on Heroes of the Storm, and that's really fun. But that's my final thoughts on him. Probably use your Amber on him. It's gonna be really good in war because I'm sick of seeing my legends die. Right? I'm sick of those situations where just because there's a mythic damage dealer, I lose it. So I might just run him full life, right? I might even just run him full life just so he can sponge everything from the mythic damage dealer. I just would love to see my legendaries not die. I love to see that. I love to see my baby boys roaming the earth and not die the moment they step out on the field, like in the first second. That would be nice. I'd like to stop seeing my Mephistos die. I'd like to see my Thundera stop dying. I love to see just like anything stop dying. That would be really nice. But yeah, use your Amber on this. It's probably going to be super good. But yeah, I'm Deb the Awesome. I'll catch you guys later.